Hi, my name is Maximilian Campbell, and today I want to talk to you about freedom. I'm going to talk to you about how your freedoms right now they're being taken away, and if you don't do something about it soon, if you wait too long to do something about these freedoms being taken away from you, it'll be too late to do something about it. And so today I'm going to talk to you about what freedoms that we have, which is it's a good thing that we have these freedoms, and we'll talk about why someone would take away your freedom, why you would give up your freedom, and we'll talk about what has happened in the past when people have given up their freedom, had their freedom taken away from them, and we'll give you some examples of that. So, but first, before we do all that, we have to figure out what is freedom. And so freedom is kind of an abstract concept. And so, a lot of people would say that freedom is being able to do what you want. And so if I want to go to the store and buy some ice cream, I should be able to go to the store and buy some ice cream. And that's I'm free to do that. I have the freedom that I need to just go and get some ice cream. But what if what I want to do instead of get ice cream is run people over with my car? Well, other people have their freedom and they want to enjoy their freedom, and running them over with my car isn't. It's going to be very non-conducive to them having freedom. And so, being able to do what you want, it's not really freedom, it's more akin to power. It's having, power over someone else. And so there's this idea that I can do what I want, and it's regardless of whether or not you want to do that too. With power in a given society, the more power that there is, there's less people who actually get that power. And so, if power isn't freedom, then what is? Some people would say that freedom is not being forced to do something. The idea that if I don't want to go to the store and get ice cream, no one's going to force me to go to the store and get ice cream. I can just choose to not do that. And so, yeah, that's freedom. But if I do want to go to the store and get ice cream, and I don't have any money to buy ice cream, I'm not really free to get ice cream. I can if even if I choose to get ice cream, I can't because I don't really have the resources necessary. And so, just not being forced to do or not doing something that's not really freedom, that's liberty. It's the idea that no one's forcing you to do something. It's the absence of coercion, which is closer to freedom, but it's still not quite there. So freedom lies somewhere in the middle between power and liberty. The idea that, as you have power and liberty, the more power there is, the less people get to actually have it. To the point where if you go all the way to just complete liberty, which doesn't really exist, you get to the point where everyone gets that complete liberty. And so, we've talked about, now that we've kind of cleared up what freedom is, it's still kind of an abstract concept and it's hard to understand in this context, but let's look at the freedoms that we have. So one of the freedoms that we have is freedom of speech, and that's protected under the First Amendment. In America, in the United States, that having this freedom is very important. There's a lot of people that don't have that freedom. People in throughout the rest of the world they don't have freedom, and some people in the U.S. they don't have that freedom. And we'll talk more about that later. And so, going back to that view of power on one side, liberty on the other, with the First Amendment, you have some power and you have some liberty. You have the power to, spread ideas. You have the power to, spread a political message. You have the power to make someone feel better by telling them how great they are. You have the power to spread radical ideology. And so, because of that, you have the power to tell someone how to vote. You have the power to make someone feel better by telling them that how great they are. You have the ability to make someone go out and commit acts of terror based on your radical ideology that you've implanted in their brain through free speech. And so, that gives you a lot of power, and a lot of people would argue that in some cases you shouldn't have that power. You're just not qualified to have that kind of power. No one should have that kind of power to be able to influence people to go blow up buildings. But then also it gives you a lot of liberty. And the First Amendment gives you a lot of liberty in the idea that it's very hard to contain free speech. It's something that's tangible. It's not an object. It's something that everyone intrinsically has, and it has to be taken away. And so, today in today's day and age, with mass media, social media, it's really easy to it amplifies the First Amendment and the free speech just to scales that 10, 20 years ago would be unthinkable, to the point where something happens and a few minutes later everyone knows about it. You can instantly get your viewpoint on it out there. You can exercise your free speech, and it just amplifies the freedom of speech. And so there's another freedom that we have as Americans, and that is the right to bear arms. And so with the balance of power and liberty, owning a firearm gives you a lot of power, and it gives you a lot of liberty. It gives you a lot of power over other people if you decide that you want to use your gun to rob a store, or you want to use your gun to shoot someone. You can exercise that power pretty well, to the point where sometimes it can be somewhat ridiculous. If you want to go to a store, just the presence of a gun is enough oftentimes to be able to just go through the robbery and face very little resistance. For the statistic of how robberies are usually done with a plastic gun. But owning the gun also gives you a lot of liberty. It gives you protection against people who would try to abuse or exercise power over you, mainly other people in the society, and so you protecting yourself from this threat of force or the force itself. Being in a situation where someone is telling you to do something and they're armed and you're armed, it's a very different situation than when they're armed and you're not armed. You're at their mercy. You basically either have the choice to, hey, I'm just going to listen to this person, or I'm not going to listen to this person, and they might shoot me. And that's not a very good choice. If you have your own weapon, then you can say, well, I don't want to listen to you, and then that person has to make the choice. Is it really worth it to push this person and try and exercise my power over them? Because, it might cause a lot of harm towards me. In the first situation where you're not armed, there's no question that the person is really more of their morals and not as like the actual situation. When the second situation, and going through their mind, if it's really worth it to me, and a lot of times you'll find that it isn't. And another freedom that we have is freedom from warrantless searches and seizures. And I'm going to skip this because I've talked about in my other videos. There's like a 15-minute limit. And so, now we're going to talk about, why people are willing to give away their freedoms, and why in the past people had their freedoms taken away from them. And so this is a great quote from Benjamin Franklin: "He who takes a woman gives away his freedom." Oh, sorry, wrong quote. This is a great quote. "Those who would give up liberty to gain security deserve neither and will lose both." Why would someone give up liberty? Well, sometimes it's because you're not giving up your own liberty, you're giving up other people's liberty. It's a lot easier for me to say, well, so if someone tomorrow said, you're not allowed to wear incredibly good looking suits to school, I would say, hey, what the heck? I want to wear a suit to school if I want. It's not your right to say you're not allowed to wear a suit. And so I would do something about it. I would start a petition. I would take it up with the school board. Well, I would do anything in my power to a certain extent where it just wouldn't be worth it to me. And as the level of freedom that's being taken away from me goes up, my willingness to fight for it goes up. But if tomorrow someone said that you're not allowed to wear baseball caps in school, and Daniel couldn't wear his baseball cap, I wouldn't really care very much because one, I'm not Daniel, and two, I don't wear baseball caps. It's hard for me to. It's hard enough in the beginning just for me to fight for my own freedom. And for me to want to fight for Daniel's freedom, especially if he doesn't ask for me to fight for his freedom, I really have no motivation to do so. And also, it's a freedom that I myself could live without. Why would I fight for a freedom that I don't value just because he values it? That's his own problem. And so you can see how you would get it so that some people who value freedom their viewpoints will be, washed over by other people, the majority, who say, well, that freedom doesn't matter as long as I can still enjoy the freedoms that I want. Another reason that people will give up freedom is because of fear. It's mostly the fear of power, the idea that other people, everyone's going to have some amount of power. And it's scary. It's a scary thought that someone might have power and they might have power over you if they so choose to do that. And so oftentimes what might happen is people decide, well, I don't like that Jack has power over, has this ability to have power over me. I want to do something about it before he decides to actually exercise that power over me. We should take that power away from Jack. And so what we need to do is give that power to someone else. And so as a society, we would get together and I would talk to Miss Moen and we would decide that, well, we don't like that Jack has his power. Let's talk to John and say, okay, John, you can take away Jack's power, or we're both willing to give up a little bit of our liberty and power as long as Jack isn't going to attack us. Because, we don't really like those powers anyway. We never use them. We have no use for them. We might as well take them away. The only one who would really use it is Jack. He's a no good, dirty guy. He has no problem with using that power against you. And so, now we're going to look at some examples of, in the past, what has happened when, how people have taken away freedom and what has happened as a result. So, let's look at the Nazis, the National Socialist German Workers' Party. And, they're the most notorious example of an authoritarian state probably in the history of the world. I can't think of any other authoritarian state that is more infamous. And so, how did the Nazis get to the point where they had complete control of Germany? Well, it wasn't a fast process. It did seem to happen overnight, but in reality, it started with the beginnings of the Weimar Republic following the end of World War I. Sorry, almost tired. And so, with the Weimar Republic and the beginning of the National Socialist Workers, the German Workers' Party, there was the beginnings of, this riling up of the anti-Semitism in Germany, and this riling up of anti-capitalism and anti-communism. And so, as the Nazi Party began to grow in members from originally 55 when Adolf Hitler joined the party to 200,000, a million by the time the Nazi Party rose to power, they had begun to attack communists and Jews, and to the point where the Weimar Republic, the government at the time, said, you can't do this. Despite the fact that Germany was very anti-Semitic at the time, they decided that it wasn't okay for the Nazi Party to attack Jews on the street just for walking around on the street. And so they said, well, you can't have these, because one of the weapons that the Nazis would use, they would use primarily pistols and revolvers to attack the Jews as they would walk down the street. And so the Weimar Republic said, well, we don't like that. We're going to make it so if we don't